Yesterday's show dealing with Richard Dawkins and Adolf Hitler and a number of the similarities in their worldview brought quite a few responses from the atheist crowd. In fact, nearly every response was from atheists, and I'm thankful for that. I really am. But I want atheists to read carefully, and they did not do it, and this is typical of many in the atheist movement. They get sidetracked with their own perceptions of what is being said rather than looking at what is actually being said. And the point I made in my show, and then there's an article up online today at americanvision.org. This is November 24th. You will see there, my point is that atheists cannot account for morality. They may be moral people. Richard Dawkins is maybe as moral as anybody else, but he can't account for that morality given the basic assumptions of Darwinism and, of course, atheism. Of course, there are people who are evolutionists in some sense who still believe in God, and they, of course, can't account for morality. I am pressuring the atheists to come up with a way to account for morality. A specific form of morality that is what was moral a billion years ago is as moral today as will be 1 billion years in the future. And I have not read anything that dissuades me from my basic assumption is that atheistic Darwinism cannot account for morality. And I gave you some basic statements, what Richard Dawkins had to say about all of this. I didn't see very many responses to those. Let me see if I can find those again. In the universe of blind physical forces and genetic replication, some people are going to get hurt and other people are going to get lucky, and you won't find any rhyme or reason for it, nor any justice. The universe we observe has precisely the properties we should expect if there is at the bottom no design, no purpose, no evil, and no good, nothing but blind, pitiless indifference. That is the operating assumption of Richard Dawkins. Now I want Richard Dawkins and other atheists who agree with Richard Dawkins to develop a moral ethic that has justification for sanctions, both positive and negative, based upon those basic assumptions. That's what I'm looking for, and that's what I proposed in the show, and this is what I proposed in the article called Richard Dawkins and the Nothing Butters. That is, that we are nothing but electrical impulses. We are nothing but a bag of meat and bones. This is what they have to propose. This is what they have to account for, and they have not been able to do so. I know some of the arguments that they use for this, but they do not rest with the fundamentals of the Darwinian worldview. Let me give you a couple of examples. This is a tennis ball that represents the beginning of the cosmos. And essentially, cosmologists look at the beginning of the universe and says that the entire cosmos was contracted into something about this size. They actually say smaller than this. And then at an instant in time, this exploded into what is referred to as the Big Bang. I want to know, was morality inherent in the beginning of the universe? Was there a morality as a part of all of this? If so, I want you to identify it. I want you to identify it empirically. That is, show it to me on the table. Put it on the table. As I said to one man, send it to me in a box. I want to see morality in a box, because science is all about empirical verification. You know, here's the fossils. Here's the fossil record. Here's the science for it. Here's the slide from under the microscope. I want to see the empirical verification for morality that existed in this form in a superheated mass of stuff. And then you can add to that also the information necessary to determine whether something is moral or immoral. Just because there is such a thing as morality, which again evolutionists can't account for, but let's assume that there is a thing as morality superheated glob of stuff 10 or 20 billion years ago. I want to also see the distinction that says that this is evil and this is good. No one has been able to demonstrate this. There is a philosophy behind this. There are theories behind it, but that's not just what science is. Science comes up with a hypothesis, and then science has to come along with the empirical verification. I want to see the empirical verification. And the second point I would say is, I want you to determine, as an evolutionist, as an atheistic evolutionist, this is a replica of a raptor's claw, and nature red in tooth and claw, and we got here by one species, even a particular species, killing members of its own species in order to move up the evolutionary ladder. Was that moral or immoral at the time? Is there any morality attached to this entity back then? And if there was, is that morality in existence today? If it was right 10 million years ago for one biological entity to kill another biological entity or one of its own biological entities in order to move up the evolutionary ladder, was that morally right then? If so, why isn't it morally right today? These are the issues that atheists have to deal with. This is the question that they have to formulate given the basic assumptions of their materialistic worldview, and it's all about materialism. And there is no ethics. There is no other ethical way to account for all of this. Now. And so these are what people have described as the nothing butters. We are nothing but neurons. We are nothing but electrical impulses. Let me give you a couple of other ones here. In the last 10 years, we have come to realize humans are more like worms than we ever imagined. This is by biologist Bruce Alberts, former president of the National Academy of Sciences. Genetically speaking, the worm represents a very simple human. In essence, we are nothing but a big fly. Charles Zucker, a genetic researcher and professor of biology at the University of California at San Diego. Here's another one by British scientist Jane Rogers. We share 99% of our genes with mice, and we even have the genes that could make a tail. According to one journalist, the genetic blueprint of the mouse produced by Rogers and other scientists demonstrates that there isn't much difference between mice and men. Now, we've developed a whole ethical and moral system. Do we then impose that upon mice since there's not much difference between us? We humans appear as only slightly remodeled chimpanzee-like apes. This is Morris Goodman of Wayne State University. Goodman was co-author of a 2003 study which concluded that chimpanzees are more closely related to people than to gorillas, and probably should be included in the human branch of the family tree. There's an interesting film on YouTube that I think it's Richard Attenborough does in the Nature series, about a group of chimpanzees, just like humans, going into another neighborhood and killing and dismembering and eating another chimpanzee. Should we then take our human moral beliefs and impose them on the chimpanzee world? Should we have taken them and put them in jail and tried them and so forth? This is the problem with atheistic evolution. Evolutionary atheists cannot account for morality given the materialistic, naturalistic, Darwinian beginnings of their worldview. Until they do that, they really don't have any justification for morality.